Hello everyone. So here we are with another topic for discussion, that is memory. So today we are going to learn about memory or how we memorize things. We always say, oh, when I look at that picture, I'm reminded of how beautiful my childhood was or something like that. So memory is like remembering something from past into the current situation or into the current scenarios. So let's begin with the presentation and see what all content we are going to cover into this presentation. So into today's presentation, we are going to start with the introduction to memory, and then we are going to move forward with meaning of memory, definition of memory, and lastly, we're going to cover stages of memory along with types of memory, and lastly, the factors influencing our memory. So let's begin with introduction to memory and see what actually memory is. So into introduction, it says memory is our ability to encode, store, retain, and subsequently recall information and past experiences in the human life. So here what it is saying that it's our ability, it's individual ability to encode information. Encode information is to like break down the information according to us, like how we understand the topic or how we understand that particular stimuli, and then storing or retaining that particular situation or stimuli into our brain, and subsequently recalling the information or the past experiences. Means now we are going to retrieve that information from our human brain and going to use into our current situation. So that is what memory is. It is the ability to remember past experiences and the power or process of recalling to mind previously learned facts, experiences, impressions, skills, and habits. Again, it is saying same thing, that it is just like remembering something from past, or like it could be like any experience, it could be any skill, or it could be any impression, habit, or whatever you had at that particular you're having into that particular memory. So you're going to use that particular experience or skill into your current situation. So that is what memory is. Now let's understand the meaning of memory with the simple example over here. So let's say you all must have visited zoo into your childhood, and you must have seen various different animals or birds there into the zoo. Let's say I went to a zoo in my childhood and I saw a beautiful parrot over there. So now when I saw that parrot, what I'm doing over here, I'm trying to encode the information regarding this particular stimuli, that parrot over there. So what I'll encode it over here, that this is the color of the parrot. So this is how parrot look. This is the shape of the parrot. So now what I have seen that parrot, and now I have encoded that information regarding parrot into my brain. So what I have done, I have encoded or stored that information into my brain, that how a parrot looks. Now I joined school and my teacher, she asked me what P stands for into alphabet, and I immediately remember P stands for parrot. Or say my teacher told me P stands for parrot. So whenever she'll mention parrot or whenever she is mentioning parrot, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to into my past experience, and I'm immediately going to remember, okay, I have seen parrot into zoo and this is how parrot looked. So whenever my teacher is now mentioning parrot, I'm getting that memory of parrot from the zoo. So this is how I contribute to my, how this is my past experience contribute to my memory or into my recent situation. So this is how the whole process of memorization or how memory works into our life. So I hope you must have got an idea about the meaning of memory. Now let's see the definition of memory. So over here, first definition is given by Matlin in 2005. He says that memory is the process of maintaining information over time. Means what we have learned into our past experience or what we are learning right now, we are going to imbibe this knowledge into our mind and pertain this knowledge over a time period. So this is what memory is. Next definition is by Sternberg. He has given his definition in 1999. He says that memory is the means by which we draw on our past experience in order to use this information in the present. Means memory is a medium through which we uses our past experiences or past learned skills into our current scenarios or into our present situation. So that is what memory does, or that is what memory is. So this was all about the definition of memory. Now let's see what stages of memories are or how the process of memories happen. So here there are three stages mainly. First one is encoding, next is storage or retrieval. I have already discussed with you, encoding is like information is converted for storage. Encoding is like how I see stimulus or how I perceive stimulus. I'm going to break down that information into different parts or chunks and then going to store it into our brain. Storage is retaining the information into the memory. Now I'm going to collect all the information into my memory. Retrieval is recalling that information. Whenever into my current situation, I'm asked about that past experience, or I'm asked about that particular thing that I have learned into my past, I'm going to recall that information from past and is going to use that information into my present. So that is retrieval or recalling. Let's see one more picture over here. So here into this picture, you can see a particular process is given. So sensory output or sensory memory is first. So what we are going to do whenever a stimulus is present into our surrounding, or say into our environment, what we do, we provide attention towards particular stimuli. Let's say I'm into my class and teacher is teaching me about digestive system, but there are many things going into the class. Some of the students are taking notes, some of the students are doing something else. So but my focus or my attention is on how my teacher is teaching me digestive system, or what all things teacher is teaching me regarding digestive system. So I'm paying attention to that particular stimuli. So obviously the unattended stimulus or unattended information that I'm not paying attention to is going to lost. I'm not paying attention to particular things that are happening into the class, just paying attention onto the teacher. So other things I'm not on which I'm not paying attention is the things that I'm not going to focus on. Let's say I focused on how the teacher teaching about the digestive system. Now I'm focusing on to this particular information. So this particular information, I'm using my sensory organs over here, my auditory senses and my visual senses. So this information is now going to be shifted to my short-term memory. Now into the short-term memories, it remains there until unless I revise it and change it into long-term memory. So if I'm not going to revise something, or if I'm not going to work on to that particular information, obviously that unrehearsed information is lost. So I'm going to lost, or I'm going to forget that particular information. So say if I have rehearsed that, or if I have revised that particular topic of digestive system, so I'm going to change that information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Now I know all these facts, and I'm going to remember this particular content or this particular topic throughout my life. So that is long-term memory, which is there for longer period. But into long-term memory also, I have to rehearse this topic again and again in order to use this particular information into my future scenarios. So this is all about the stages of memory, or we can say how the encoding, storage, and decoding, or you can say recalling, occurs into our brain. So this was all about stages of memory. Now I'm having one activity over here for you. So through this activity, you are going to see how we can remember things or how we memorize things, and you will get an idea what is the intention of learning or intention of memory actually is. So see this slide and read and memorize the following words clearly given over here into this slide. Here total 8 names of different animals are given. So let's see: elephant, tiger, zebra, giraffe, monkey, cow, pig, and rhino. So just try to read this all the animals and try to memorize all these animals. So let's move towards our next slide. So here, now try to recall all those words written in the previous slides. I have told you to read and memorize them. So see, some of you would be able to recall 8 of the all, means all of the animals names, or some of you may even think of 3 or 4 animals. That means your attention wasn't onto the slide, or means you're not paying focus onto those slides. On the one who's paying focus and is into the learning process, they are going to memorize each and every that particular animal that was written over there. Let's say if I ask you over here, instead of asking you to recall all the words, if I ask you what was the next word to cow, or what was the next animal written to giraffe, you won't be able to do that, no? Or if I ask you in which color box cow was written, or in which color box tiger was written, you won't be able to do that, because that wasn't your intention during the learning. Your intention during the learning was only to memorize those words. So this is how we show that our intention also affect our learning. If our attention is not to learn thing in a particular way, it is going to affect our memorization also. If I haven't learned the particular colors of the boxes, so I'm not going to remember that. That means my intention is also affecting my memory. So I hope you must have enjoyed this activity, and you must have got an idea how we memorize the things and how our intention also influences our learning and memorization. So now we are going to see the types of memories. there are different kind of memories, and these are in accordance to like time duration, or in accordance to we can say like futures perspective or retrospective memories. So first memory, the type of memory is in accordance to time duration. So these are three memories over here. They are divided into three parts. One is sensory memory, next is a short term memory, and next is a long term memory. We have already seen into examination, and it would be easier for you to learn this topic. So, what is sensory memory? Sensory memory is the ability to retain impressions of sensory information after the original stimulus has ceased. Means now the original stimulus is not present over here, but you are having some impressions from your sensory memory. That means you are having some sensory information. It refers to items detected by the sensory receptors which are retained temporarily in the sensory register. By using your sense organs, you are going to collect some information from your environment, which is going to be there inside your brain for a few seconds, and it is not going to be there permanently. The two type of sensory memory that have been most explored are iconic memory and echoic memory. Iconic memory is where you see things or you visualize things and you try to remember them. Echoic memory is something when you use your hearing power or when you use your auditory sensation or auditory senses to remember something. Iconic is like you are watching this particular video and you're using your eyes to visualize the information present over here. Echoic, like you're listening to this explanation that I'm giving and you're trying to get the context of this particular topic. So you must have got an idea what is iconic and what is echoic memory. Let's move towards our next type, that is short term memory. So some of the information in sensory memory is transferred to short term memory. It allows one to recall something from several seconds to a long as minute without rehearsal. Its capacity is also very low, but one can increase it through the process of chunking. So we have seen that how our memory from sensory memory is shifted to or is encoded into short-term memory. So short-term memory is also having a very low capacity, but you can increase this capacity by chunking method. So let's see what chunking method is. Chunking is like dividing the information into parts so that you can easily now understand the particular process or particular thing. Let's say, take an example over here. If I tell you to learn this particular number given over here, like 151255551212, so you won't be able to learn this particular information because it is too difficult to learn. Like sorry, difficult to learn it in a same way. So what you will do, or what one person do, they divide this information into different parts so that a meaningful parts would be drawn from this particular information so that it would be easier for you to now learn this information. Let's say I have divided this particular number in like 1512 5555 1212. So in that way it would be easier for me to learn this particular information. So that is chunking. That is how you divide your particular topic or your particular memory into particular information into parts that are meaningful to you. So this is how chunking happens. Next is a long term memory. So we have seen sensory memory, we have seen short term memory. So when we rehearse all the information into the short term memory, that is going to be encoded into long term memory. So that is long term memory. So long term memory is anything you remember that happened more than a few minutes ago. Long term memory aren't all equal strength, means you're not going to remember each topic with equal perfection. So stronger memories enable you to recall an event, procedure, or fact on demand. For example, the Paris is the capital of France. So I know that this is a strong memory. I know that Paris is the capital of France. So immediately if someone will ask me what is the capital of France, so immediately I'm going to say Paris. Weaker memories are the memories which need some prompting or reminding. Just say if I tell you that, okay, just tell me any of like just recite the poem Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So say you don't know about this, or you have forgotten, or this is a kind of a weak memory into your brain. So if I remind you, like it starts with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, something like that. So what I'm doing, I'm prompting you or I'm reminding you about that particular experience. So immediately you will get an idea and will start singing that particular poem. Or let's say I ask you about particular concept like what is the largest organ of the body, and immediately you're not remembering. Okay, you are having that information, obviously you have studied that, but you are not able to remember. So if I give in a hint by like pointing towards my skin or something like that, immediately you will get reminded that okay, this is the largest organ of the human body. So that is how our weaker memories work. So you have seen that into the long term memories, we are having some weaker memories and we are having some stronger memories, and all these memories are not of equal strength. So this is about long term memory. Now let's see the different type of memory in accordance to information type. So in accordance to information type, memory can be divided into two, that is declarative memory and procedural memory. So into declarative memory is the aspect of human memory that stores information and facts. It is so called because it refers to memories that can be consciously discussed or declared. It is divided into three, means you would be having this kind of information, or you would be pertaining this particular information throughout your life. So that is kind of a declarative memory. So it is divided into three. First one is semantic memory, then next is episodic memory, and last one is visual memory. So now let's see what semantic memory is. So semantic memory refers to a portion of long-term memory that processes ideas and concepts that are gained over a lifetime. A semantic memory include things that are common knowledge, such as the names of the color, the sound of letter, and the capital of countries, and other basic facts acquired over lifetime. We say semantic memories is kind of a remembering some common knowledges, like this is red color, this is blue color, this is black color, or this is A alphabet, this is B alphabet, or this is a particular capital of this particular country. So we have gained this information through our life experiences. You are going to remember all this information, but you may not remember when you actually learned about the facts. So it means you would be knowing that okay, this is red color or this is white color, but you won't be able to remember actually when I learned about this particular thing. So that is semantic memory. Next is the episodic memory. So episodic memory is a memory which concerns information specific to a particular context, such as time or place. So it is used more for personal memories, such as sensation, emotions, and personal associations of a particular place or time. Let's say you have attended many of the concerts into your life. So if I ask you, what was your emotions or what was your experience during the last concert that you attended? So immediately you will try to recall that okay, I was into that concert, onto that concert, and they were playing this particular beautiful song. I was very cheerful, I was feeling very happy. So that kind of a memory, that you are having that kind of a memory from that particular episode or that particular part of your life is comes under episodic memory. So that is what episodic memory is. It is related to our personal memories or personal experience. Next is a visual memory. So visual memory is a part of memory perceiving some characteristics of our sense pertaining to visual experiences, means how I perceive that particular topic or how I'm remembering that particular topic into my visual memory. That is what visual memory is. We are able to place in memory information that resembles objects, places, animals, or people in sort of a mental image. Like I have seen a parrot in a zoo. We have discussed that example. So whenever someone will mention parrot, so immediately my brain will try to recall that information, that okay, the parrot was looking like this into my memory. Or let's take an example over here. See, whenever we are attending some questions into our examination, let's say we have given an example, what is learning? Write down the definition of learning. So when I'll try to write down the definition of learning, immediately there would be a visible image of that definition of learning, which I have written over my into my notebook with a black color pen, by like drawing some kind of a clouds around it. So kind of like that, I visualize it into my mind like that. So and that way I'm memorizing it. So this is how visual memory works, or this is how visual memory is. So next type of memory is procedural memory. We have seen a declarative memory, now procedural memory. Procedural memory is the memory which is related to our motor skills, that how we are performing and how we are doing that particular thing. It is not based on the conscious recall of information. We can measure or see how well you are doing into procedural memory just by when you are going to perform that particular procedure. Let's say I was told to do a like physical examination over over a patient. So how I'm performing now and how I'm doing all the steps right now is how my procedural memory works. I would be remembering, okay, so first step is this, I have to do this step, then this step. Maybe I'm not doing it to a sequence because I do not remember actually how it should be done. But I remember all the things that should be included into physical examination. So that is procedural memory. So this is how procedural memory works. Next type of memory is in accordance to time duration. Here, the memory is divided into immediate memory, recent memory, and remote memory. Let's take an example over here. Immediate memory is like what topic we covered into the last slide. So we know that we have covered procedural memory into the last slide. So that comes under immediate memory. If we talk about recent memory, if I ask you when you had your last meal, or what was the what all things you had into your last meal, so you will try to remember, okay, I had a breakfast at 10 a.m. and I ate bread or something like that. So that's come under recent memory. Remote memory is like if I ask you how was your first day of school, or what kind of emotion you had when you firstly joined that particular course, or when you firstly entered on to college. So you will try to recall things, okay, so on this day I attended this particular school and I was feeling anxious or something like that. So that is kind of a remote memory, means trying to remember something from past. So that is remote memory. Next type of memory is this particular type of memory is classified according to prospective memory or retrospective memory. So prospective memory is always when we try to remember something from the future, and retrospective is to gain or to get to know something from the past. So prospective memory, obviously prospective memory, if we talk about it, is not going to explain itself. Like prospective means to remember something from the future, so it is not possible. So it how it is included over here. Prospective memory is to remembering to do something into the future. Let's say I have to post a particular letter by Friday. So when I'm moving in my neighborhood, I see a post office or I see a postman, so immediately I get remembered, okay, I have to post a letter on Friday. So by Friday I have to post this letter. So I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that into future. I'm supposed to do that particular activity. So that is what prospective memory is. Into retrospective memory is to remember something from the past. Like I asked you into the previous slide, that how was your first day of the school, and what was your experience on the first day of your college. So that is kind of a retrospective memory. Now you will try to remember that what actually happened on that particular day. So that is all about prospective memory and retrospective memory. So this was all about the types of memories. Next, now we have seen that we are not able to see, if I'm not able to recall some particular information which I'm being asked, maybe because I haven't paid that much of attention to that particular learning. So we are going to see the factor influencing memory, that what all factor can affect my learning process and my memory process, and how they are going to hinder my memory or recalling of that information. So first factor is age factor. So how age factor affect? Let's say a child is there. So obviously a child's development is has not happened properly, or means let's say a child has not fully grown, so the capacity of his brain to recall information and to retain information is less. Same way, if we talk about a geriatric patient, or this sorry, if geriatric person, let's say a person into his old age, obviously his psychological activities are diminished now, so he also won't be able to recall all the information properly, whereas a person into his middle age who has fully grown is having a stable mind, and is all psychological functionings are functioning properly, so he is going to remember each and every information properly. So that is how age affects. Next comes the gender information, sorry, gender differences. So how gender differences now affect or influence our memory? We say that women goes through menopause. So menopause period are some fluctuation into our hormones occur, so estrogen levels are now disturbed. So because of this estrogen level, there are going to be some physiological changes into our body. That physiological changes are going to affect our memory also. So this is how we say, into females, due to menopause or due to some this hormonal disturbances, memory is affected. Next is the development. Let's say a baby is developing, is achieving all his milestones properly. So the person or the baby who's or the child who's achieving his milestone properly would be able to remember things properly, in comparison to the child whose milestone has not been developed normally. Next is the nutrition factor. If we say we are healthy, we are taking our diet properly, we are covering all the nutrients into our diet, like vitamins, or let's say some of the other things, or like nutrients, we are covering all those nutrients and all those particular things into our diet, then obviously we are going to be healthy. And if we are physically fit and we are mentally stable, we are going to learn things properly, and we are going to memorize those things properly. Next comes the drugs and chemicals. So we say drugs like we can say some of the antitussive drugs. Antitussive drugs are given to the person who is having cough. So sometimes these kind of drugs cause sedation into the person. So see, if the person has taken this particular kind of a drug before learning something, obviously he won't be able to attend or pay focus on to that particular learning topic. So whenever we will try to tell him to recall that particular information, he won't be able to recall that particular information because he was sedated, or he was not able to pay a focus onto that particular topic while he was learning. So obviously his memory of that topic is also going to be affected. Next comes emotion. We say before learning or after learning, if we are having or if we are provoked with some kind of a certain emotions, it's going to affect our learning. Let's say before learning a new topic, or before starting a new topic, you were crying, or you were not feeling well, or you were having some emotional turmoil inside you. So you won't be able to pay your focus onto that particular topic. And obviously, while trying to recall that particular topic, you would be having some kind of a difficulty. So that's how emotions also influence our memory functioning. Next comes the environment. Let's say while learning this particular topic, or while learning some any of the topic, the environment is not suitable. There is no proper ventilation, there is no proper lighting, or you are not able to visualize the concept, or the teacher is trying to show you, or you are not able to visualize the blackboard onto which teacher is writing. So means environment is not favorable, obviously your learning is not going to be favorable, and you won't be able to memorize that topic, and obviously at the time of recall you won't be able to recall that, or retrieve that information properly. Next is a exercise and rehearsal. So we say when we exercise some topic, or when we work onto some topic and we revise it over again and again, we are going to retain that particular information throughout our life, or we are going to have that particular information for over a time. If we want to, so we are going to lose that information, and we may forget that particular topic. So these were all the factors which influence our memory, and how these factors can also affect your learning and can cause some hindrance into your memory. So this was all about my presentation. So today we have covered in meaning of memory, then we have seen the definition of memory, and then we have covered the stages of memory, where we have seen how encoding occur, how storage occur, and how then the retrieval process occur. Then we have seen the types of memory, where we have seen various classifications according to time duration, and according to the future aspect, or according to what kind of information we are going to retrieve, either it is from prospective level, or either it is from retrospective level. Then we have seen the factor influencing memory, that how our age, our development, our nutrition affect our learning process, and ultimately affect our memory. So this was all about today's presentation. I hope you have learned a lot. Thank you everyone, and have a good day.